Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Happy Night Project. And today we have Mike Talplacido from Kiss My Mike. Kamusta?
Hi. Mabuti. Hi. Kamusta, Lizette? Thank you so much for having me.
Salamat din. And by the way, just for the record, this podcast or this interview will be monitored para lang sa ating dalawa. And then we
Mhm.
can share it to our audience. Yun lang. So, kamusta ka?
Okay naman. Ikaw?
Buti din. Ito, excited. I was actually counting the days until I could film with you.
That's so nice. No, I'm so excited too. This is actually my second podcast in which I am the guest.
Oo.
So, usually, actually, no, maybe third pala.
Oo.
Usually, I'm the one who is the interviewer. I was really excited as well. So looking forward to our conversation and changing the role, right? So
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
see
yeah.
how it goes.
Perfect. At saka parang ano din natin 'to, meet up natin from Clubhouse sa usual,
Yeah.
mga events natin online sa Clubhouse. And then we kind of like translated it into podcast. And now
Hmm.
we are gonna be appearing for the first time sa YouTube.
Yes.
Dahil crossover sa Filipina expat in Thailand. So ayun, para isang ano na lang din,
Oo
isang
nga.
storytelling. So maraming maraming salamat sa
Yeah.
pagpapaunlak sa ating paanyaya. So I'd like to know who is He's my mic. And can you tell us something how did it happen? Ayan.
mm. Yan. So Kiss My Mic, actually, nag-start yan as a blog
Mm.
nung 2005.
Oo.
So I don't know how long have you been blogging as well, Lizette, pero during that time, yun yung I would consider siguro the first wave of blogging.
Uh-huh.
Um, yung mga hosting sites dati, yung Blogspot, WordPress, may WordPress na ba nun? So Blogspot, Typepad. So
Oo.
that's really how it started as a blog. So I just like the idea of writing.
Mm.
So I followed that passion to write a blog back in 2005. In terms of the name, so when I was looking at different options for a blog name,
Oo.
alam ko I wanted my name to be part of it. So
Oh.
Mike. So may mga ibang options ako na kinonsider. Tapos, for some reason, I came across yung, alam mo naman yung usual na phrase na, you can kiss my bleep, you know?
Tama.
So, so I guess it's the combination of, let me just use that because I thought it was catchy. And also, yung phrase kasi na yun, it sort of reflects or reflected my persona back then.
Oo.
Nung time na yun, 2005, I was living in New Jersey, close to
Mm.
New York. So yung mindset ko, I was still this workaholic, mostly jaded type of person. Especially if you read my book, I wrote a lot about that phase in my life when I
Oo.
was living in New Jersey. I was this young person trying to pursue his career,
Oo.
discovering his sexuality, being
Oo.
LGBTQ,
Oo.
and it was an awakening for me in
Oo.
being in that world na kaya parang yung attitude ko medyo ganun, medyo may pagka-jaded na you can kiss my mic. So that's how it started as a blog. And then since then, I've always been interested in writing. In fact, even when I had my blog, I wanted to write a book. And I even met a mentor of mine before who who's a writer. He
Oo.
wrote a book, he had a novel. So in the beginning, I was thinking, okay, I'll write a book. I'll keep the name Kiss My Mic. But in the beginning, it wasn't even about me. It wasn't a memoir. It was, just a novel, like
Okay.
something fiction. And
Fictional.
then, yeah, sometime in between, so 2008, kasi nagwo-work ako sa IT dati. So I'm part of, I'm an office worker, corporate. So I have a corporate job. So after a while, siguro mga bandang 2008, I decided to focus more on the work side. One
Mm-mm.
of my dreams kasi dati was to was to go back to school. Gusto kong
Oo.
magkaroon ng masters ng MBA.
Sa
So,
IT.
sa business na. So bali ang plan ko mag-switch from IT to the business side.
Yeah.
So, alam mo yung TV show na The Apprentice
Yes.
dati? Yan yung talaga I hate to say it because the host it was hosted by Trump, right? But
Yeah.
back then, 2004, 2005, it was
Yeah.
like a big deal. And a lot of people, including myself, was really hooked. I enjoyed watching that. So somehow I kind of felt like, you know what? I want to be, successful in the corporate world.
Mm-mm.
So I wanted to have an MBA. So
Oh,
I eventually pursued that MBA. And as a result, I became more focused on the business side and I kind of
oo.
put the writing aside. So that became my life for a long time
Yes.
na,
I could imagine.
sa management, right? So
Yeah.
parang for me, I felt like, blogging, I have to, kind of forget about it because especially the name Kiss My Mic,
Yes.
right? I feel like it doesn't fit in the
Yeah,
corporate world.
your corporate
Yeah,
person versus Kiss My Mic, 'di ba? Oo.
exactly. So,
Okay.
ganun ang ginawa ko. So, eventually, nag-masters ako, nag-MBA, and then I
Oo.
started getting, like a job
Oo.
in the corporate world. And then, there's always this part of me that, alam mo yun, when you're really interested in something, whatever that is,
Yes.
you're always drawn to doing it.
Totoo
So,
'yan.
eventually, yeah, exactly. So, eventually, nung 2019, that's
Wow.
really when I started writing the book. And then I have more focused. Yeah, tagal,
Oo.
no? From 2005 to 2000,
Yeah, I could see the progress, right? Oo.
yeah. But I think in a way, along with the writing, there's a lot of transformation that already happened in my
Mm,
life.
mm,
So
mm.
I became more, I guess, mature. And then I, I followed my passion to write. And then in terms of my identity,
Oo.
so my book is my mic. It's a memoir
Oo.
about being a gay Filipino immigrant in America.
Mhm.
So, yung mga topics na in-explore ko sa book, syempre
Mm,
it involves the journey towards my sexual identity, being
mm,
LGBTQ, and
mm.
then ultimately being okay with that and accepting myself and
Of course.
embracing my true self. Yeah. And then along with that, there's also the immigration story,
Uh-huh.
the being Filipino, and
Uh-huh.
then being the racial identity here in America.
Uh-huh.
And then there's also the family dynamics of being from a from province ganyan, or the Catholic experience as well. And
Yeah.
then ultimately it's also about the relationship. So there's a lot of the pursuit of that relationship, figuring out your love, your love life and all that stuff.
Work.
So
Oo.
yes. So to answer your question, that is Kiss My Mic. So essentially it's the story of being a gay Filipino immigrant in
Mm.
America, but also a story about going through a journey
Yeah.
towards self-acceptance. So that's really, I
Right.
guess one of the messages of the book. So yeah,
Yeah.
but thank you for that. Yep.
Well, but thank you. Thank you for walking me through and like opening that book for me. It's like, flipping
Mhm.
through some pages and then I kind of have like an idea because I really want to get the physical one like eventually. So
Yeah.
but for Kiss My Mic, so nabanggit mo na 2005 but you were able to have it published 2019, no? So I was like thinking about the whole journey na ang daming nangyari sa'yo. At akala ng mga tao when you create or when you write a book, yan, bam, that's about it. Tapos ka na. 1 year, 2 years, done. But here, you're telling me a very inspiring story as you walk me through your journey dahil you planned it like before, tapos biglang hindi mo siya tinigilan eh until you were able to get the hard copy. How was it? How was the feeling of
Mm.
having the first book na, oh, eto na, publish na. Ito
Oh.
na yun, ganyan. How was, take us to that moment when you first received the book, the hard one.
Oh my
The hard
gosh.
one?
Absolutely. Yes. Ito, I'll show you a sample
Okay.
actually.
Oo. Is that the
So this
first
is
one?
this is the this is the book, right? So
Yeah.
actually 2019 talaga ako nag-start mag-write for this book.
Uh-huh.
Noon yung talagang inumpisahan ko na, you know what, I'm gonna write this book.
Yeah.
It's gonna be about my life. It's gonna be a memoir. And
Yes.
then it was published only this year in 2021. So
Oo.
in terms of
Nabutan na
yeah, in
yung
terms of my
pandemic.
process, but you're right. I mean, it's not easy. You know, it takes a lot of hard work. So for me in 2019, I remember January, I really made a decision, you know what, I'm gonna write this.
Oo.
So in terms of my process, ako kasi medyo organized ako. I really like being a detail-oriented person.
Oo.
So, you know, the first step for me, I just did research. Like even though it's about my life, I still did a lot of research. I went
Yeah.
through old emails. I came up with, you know, a structure. I
Mhm.
used I looked at all my journals. I have diaries,
Yeah.
journals, this random notepads, everything that I can find, emails. So, and then from then, I created a structure.
Uh-huh.
So, ito na yung mga idea ko like, okay, this is gonna be the chapters, you know, chapter
Uh-huh.
1 to 20 and so on. And then once I have that idea in terms of how it's gonna progress, how it's gonna go, that's when I started writing. So,
Oo.
for instance, chapter 1, yun talaga yung disciplined ka na every day talagang I really had to set aside time to write. That
Oo.
was for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. So 2019, the whole of 2019, and then you know, 3/4 of 2020. You know, I think at that point, talagang religiously, every day I have to do writing, and
Oo.
then after that, you have to rewrite. You have to do a lot of edits.
Oo.
So actually, yung mga chapters ko, sometimes I ended up with like version 30. So for instance, chapter 1 pa lang, version 30 na. And then
Oo.
you know, okay, after version 30, I feel like okay, that's good. That's good enough. And then version 2 will also get to sorry, chapter 2 will also have the same routine, right? So I will end up, you know, writing up to another 30 versions of that. And then
Oo.
once I put everything together, you know, the whole file, you know, that also has my own versioning. So, you know, version 1, that's a long process of really reading, rereading, editing. And then at some point, once I feel comfortable that, you know, it's okay to go, I guess, that's when I work with an editor. So
Okay.
I work with an editor. So and then, you know, for 2 or 3 months. And then, you know, it's just the same process going back and forth, rewriting, looking at her edits, you know, her suggestions,
Yeah.
and then finally, you know, the manuscript itself, it's hard to say when you're done, eh. You know, you can't, that's what they say, you know, even now, even though it's published, sometimes when I read it, I'm like, you know what, I wish I've written it this way, but I just have to let it go. But
Oo.
in terms of the process, so that's the writing piece. So writing piece, you know, the only advice really is to do it honestly, you know. But sometimes
Oo.
it's overwhelming to think about that. But for me, I like being organized. I like having a plan, and I also just want to take, you know, things one step at a time. So if you're writing, you know, if some days I will be, you know, writing up to like 12 midnight, for instance. Some days I can't do anything, you
Oo.
know. So you just have to kind of find your rhythm, and then taking one step at a time really is the one that helps me keep going. And then
Yeah.
that's the writing part. I mean, the publishing part is a different story. There's a lot of other things that, you know, I had to learn, you know,
Oo.
to figure out, you know, how to do it professionally.
Yeah.
So things like looking for the design for the book cover and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
definitely. Kasi
Yeah.
yun yung face mo eh. Parang I was attending this seminar and then one speaker mentioned that, okay, so you want to write, but let me ask you first, who's your graphic designer? So I was like, huh? Ah, why did
Yeah.
it even, hit your mind that I need a graphic designer? Eh, kasi sabi nung speaker, I forgot his name, sabi niya na, because you're selling your book, and let's
Mhm.
admit it, it should have its, face value. So, yeah,
Yeah.
maraming salamat sa pag-share mo about it, no? Parang, somehow medyo ano na siya eh, hinimay-himay mo yung proseso kung paano magsulat ng libro, na ayun 'no, nagno-notes ako kaya parang gumagalaw yung kasi
Nice.
I don't wanna miss it kasi,
Yeah.
recordings, technology, something could happen on it. So,
Yeah.
and I could resonate with you because I also have a website, yung
Mhm.
tayona.com, and when I, when I was able to launch it, parang, ano na, so na-launch
Mhm.
na yung website, but that doesn't mean na tapos na yan because you really
Yeah.
have to make sure that kagaya ng libro mo, more people should be aware about it, should see it.
Mhm.
So I could see, and this is a book sa gitna ng pandemya. So, Kiss My
Mhm.
Mic in times of corona din siya. So,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah.
kasi it's very inspiring eh. A lot of us are confined in our homes and
Mhm.
thinking that, wala akong magagawa. But here you are,
Mm.
here is Mike Talplacido. He was able to publish a book during this pandemic. And that's something that I would like to personally commend you dahil wow, 'di ba? Nagawa mo 'yun kahit haggard na haggard na. Tapos and also,
Yeah.
you mentioned something about LGBT, 'di ba? Community.
Mhm.
And syempre malapit din ang LGBT community sa akin dahil I grew up with my friends mula high school hanggang college with
Mhm.
LGBT friends kahit nagwo-work ako, kahit until now,
Mhm.
kahit yung vocabulary ko. Uh, so
Yeah.
I really love them. And
Mhm.
dapat pala ginawa natin 'to nung June 'no, Happy Pride.
Oo. Okay lang, we
Pero
can celebrate Pride every month naman. So,
tama, love is
'di
always
ba?
there. Love wins all the time, kumbaga.
Yeah.
So, how do you motivate yourself? Kasi parang nag-aral ka, nag-MA
Mm.
ka, nag-MBA ka. So, umight-IT ka, tapos nag-business ka. Like, how do you keep going? Kasi with in all of this, America, I haven't been there. But of course, hearing from our friends and other relatives who's actually living there, kind of like
Mhm.
have an idea about the lifestyle that everything is like so fast. So how are you able to motivate yourself and still, do all these things?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Actually, syempre, sometimes it's hard to find
Oh,
motivation, 'di ba?
mm-mm,
Siguro, I think the for me, the key is to find activities that you are truly passionate about.
mm-mm,
Alam mo 'yon, when you love doing it, kahit napagod ka eh, you'll still find a way to do it. So,
oo,
it works, it applies to so many different things. Whether it's about your job or your projects, right? So in my case, yung podcast for instance, o kaya yung book.
oo,
So I think the motivation comes from really the joy from doing it, the fun and joy of doing it. So that's the first thing. So find something that you really love
oo,
because somehow you'll find a way to do it. I think that's the first thing. And
oo,
then sometimes it's also being aware of your own limitations or your own skills and strengths. So
yeah,
being aware that sometimes when you're not feeling well, then you can set it aside, and then just being aware of that and being okay with that, and being forgiving as well, to yourself. So I guess that's the second thing. And then like what I said earlier, it's also just taking, sometimes it's so easy for us to be overwhelmed with so
mm-mm,
many things. So for me, it's taking things one step at a time. So for instance, if you want to write a book and it's so overwhelming to think, oh my gosh, I have to write the whole book.
mm-mm,
But if you think about it, just start with the first chapter o kaya kahit first paragraph lang. O kaya
Oo.
naman kahit na yung idea pa lang, di ba? Okay, this is your idea.
Oo.
And then just do it again the next day. And then the next day. And then the next day. So just take it one step at a time and then
Oo.
enjoy it while you're doing it. And then, you know what? Before you know it, you've already written about 10,000 words or, 50,000 words. Okay, the first 10 chapters. It just,
Oh, thank
that's,
you.
I think, yeah, I think that's it. Because for me, like, I didn't set a timeline in my mind, like, I have to do it by this
Oh,
year or,
yeah. It's very
so maybe it helps that way too, to be more driven based on your interest. But I would say that's how I motivate myself. And then lastly, I would say is, I mean, like I've said earlier, I'm very organized and try to have to do
calm.
like what like you're taking notes. Like I have so many notebooks. I have to tell you, I have so many notepads. I
Oo.
have like my random to dos, for today, for tomorrow, or anything. I
Yeah.
mean, I find it sometimes motivating to do it that way as well. So there's a satisfaction when you kind of,
Wait.
you know,
Yeah.
check
Kasi
something off, right?
oo, kasi 'di ba your idea is like it's in your mind. But the moment
Mm-hmm.
my elementary teacher told me that anything in your mind is just in your head. But if you will not give me anything, if you will not write anything on your paper, that's nothing. Ginanon niya ako. I
Yeah.
mean, but because she really would like to motivate us, and she
Mm-hmm.
said that it starts with writing. No matter how good you are, if you cannot do your first step by just whatever it is, just do it, she said. And
Yeah.
that's my grade 1 teacher, I think, or grade 3 teacher.
Yeah.
But kaya ngayon ang dami kong notebook because of her.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi parang lagi akong parang I just wanna write something down. But really,
Yeah.
thank you. Parang siya, no? Parang ako nagwo-walk sa memory lane mo. But and thank you kasi parang although I've been hearing this from motivational speakers, but it's still different kapag yung ganito na naririnig ko to sa'yo,
Yeah.
na lumabas ka sa libro, more than the name that I read, more than your Instagram post, then here comes Kiss My Mic in front of me. So parang bongga, bongga yan.
Wow. Thank you. You're so nice.
Kasi nakaka-inspire dahil we all would like to start something, and then here
Mm-hmm.
you are, making me realize that, or perhaps our listeners or our viewers would be able to realize na ay oo nga no, hindi siya
Yeah.
ganyan, hindi siya parang isang gusto ko lang. Like it
Mm-hmm.
started because you wanted it and you made it happen because you pushed for it. Hindi siya yung
Yeah.
na okay, you went through it and no, you really took the time and the effort. Kagaya kanina, I just realized I don't normally wake up 7:30 a.m. lately, but because sobrang excited ako, I found myself waking up at around 5:30 in the morning to meet you. So parang
Oh.
yun, I could relate. I could relate dun
Mm-hmm.
sa sinabi mo na when you really want it, you would really wake up for it. And
Yeah.
so yun.
And guess what,
What?
Lizette? Look, you're already doing it. I mean, you have a podcast. I saw your podcast on Spotify. You already have a lot of episodes. You have a website and a blog. So you've already taken a lot of the steps already. So that's half
Thank
of the
you.
battle already. So you should be proud of yourself. And also, I
Yeah.
guess the other part is just continuing it. So, but but also it's okay sometimes when you're going through a lot. So I think
Yeah.
that's a good step, and I'm glad that you've set this up, and we're able to talk. So
Oo,
thank you.
thank you din. I'd like to share this with all of our audience. I'm not sure kung sino sa audience natin yung makakapakinig, whether they are Filipinos in Thailand or Filipinos from the Philippines or
Mm-hmm.
anywhere who could resonate us, since it's also a migration story, no? Pero
Mm-hmm.
just few things na lang kasi I know you're busy, you just got out of work and you still have a lot of things to do and your time, um like nagpunta ka ba sa Amerika nung bata ka or diyan ka lumaki? Para lang dun sa curiosity ng mga audience natin.
Yeah, adult. I was already an adult when I moved to the US.
Ah, okay.
2003. I was 23.
Oh,
So I grew up in the Philippines.
okay. Saan
So
dun?
sa Nueva Ecija. So
Yeah.
Tagalog. What about you?
Sa Batangas, I spent
Ah,
my childhood sa Batangas, but I spent, most of my adolescent years sa Muntinlupa. So, medyo,
ah,
medyo Metro Manila, Tagalog din.
yeah.
So, ayun. So, maraming maraming salamat. It allowed me to reflect,
Mm-hmm.
with your story. And you also have your Spotify. So, ano yung Spotify mo? Kiss My Mic din, di ba?
Kiss my mic then. Yep.
Oo. So, search
So
the brand Kiss My Mic sa Spotify. So, ayan
yeah,
guys. Support, support. Kiss My Mic.
absolutely. Yep.
And how are they going to get your book, by the way? Sa Amazon ba? Sa ebook? Paano?
Yeah. Right now it's on Amazon.
Oo.
So Amazon.com, but it should be available in all territories. So including Thailand, because I have friends from the Philippines who actually bought it.
Oo.
And it's available in both the ebook format and also the paperback. So
Okay.
yung actual printed book. So yeah, I hope that you can read it, Lizette, and
Definitely,
some of the
definitely.
yeah listeners as well, because I think I wanted to share my story in terms of my journey.
Oo.
First of all, the physical journey moving from the Philippines to the US, and lahat
Oo.
ng adjustments, and
Oh,
also the emotional, the adjustments of
yeah.
being a Filipino immigrant, right? And
Oo.
also being able to embrace that, right? Because we Filipinos, we always have a lot of um kind of as part of our journey. Sometimes there's so much that we have to go through and
Oo.
unlearn, right?
Yes.
So and sometimes you know we're not proud of who we are, right? So I think there for me it was a journey towards accepting that racial identity and sexual identity, that this is me. I
Oo.
am Filipino. I have a brown skin. I
Oo.
am gay. I'm LGBTQ, and I'm happy with that. I'm okay with that. And so that's really part of the story as well. Is really going through that acceptance.
Oo.
So, and there's a lot of mga pop
May love story
culture.
ba? May love story ba dun?
Syempre may love story. May love
Ayan,
story.
ayan, okay.
So,
Sige,
yeah, especially in the
may love story.
LGBTQ.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's also a big part of it. So,
Good,
uh
good, good. Gusto ko yan, yung mga pa-love story, ganyan.
yes. There's a lot of revealing
Ay,
stories.
gusto ko din
So,
yung pa-reveal. So, yung mga pag mag-ano, yung mga ganun ka,
yes,
baba sa baba.
yes.
Oo. Ayan.
Ganyan.
So, nalaman natin na may pa-love story pala. Because it's more than a diaspora story.
Mhm.
It's a diaspora with a lot of love, a lot of,
Yeah.
giving back to your culture, I think, and a lot of acceptance and a lot of
Mhm.
pride. Not because you're prideful, tama ba? Prideful, but because you simply embrace it and you are
Yeah.
happy to become one, and
Yeah.
you are now you can finally say, after all this journey, you can kiss my mic. Ayan.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Nice,
Ayan.
nice way to insert that, Lizette. Yep.
So,
Definitely.
maraming maraming salamat ulit, Mike. It has been a pleasure, and I'll be seeing you in our rooms.
Yeah.
Alam mo naman yung connection natin. We can always meet sa mga rooms after this. But thank you so much. This has been a
Thank you.
pleasure. At maraming maraming salamat sa pagbahagi mo ng kwento. At na-test naman natin yung recording. Kaya ganun ako ng ganun kasi I have to make sure that it will make it sa ano natin, sa ibang avenue. So more and more people would
Yeah.
be able to listen to your stories. Ayan.
Thank you so
Yes.
much for the invitation. It's my, honor and pleasure to be part of your show and to meet you. So I appreciate that, Lisette.
Everything
So
first meet-up natin. So, malay mo naman next time, either you go here or manifesting pagkatapos
Yeah.
na to, I'll go and visit you guys doon. So,
By
yun
the
lang.
way, in my book, there is a part there about me traveling to Bangkok.
Ay, talaga?
So
Ay,
yeah,
ay!
and my ex also uh visiting me there, and then there's some drama. So
Ay,
that's all I'm
talaga?
gonna say.
Ano, kaya kailangan pala natin talagang
Oh,
ano,
i-check mo na.
kailangan ko na i-check 'yan. O sige, I hate to let you go, but I know that you just came from work and you had a long
Mhm.
day, and thank you so much for gracing and for, giving me your time, 30 minutes of your time. That's super, super coming from you. So, maraming salamat. This doesn't mean that we're not gonna be seeing each other. So, I'll see you on the
Yeah.
other side ulit. Okay?
Okay, absolutely. Thank you.
Salamat ng marami. God bless. Bye-bye. Thank you
Bye.
ulit.
Sige.